Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Welcome to Tuesday. Lando here, and today we are doing some water experiments to try and better help people understand water even a little better. A few months back, I did a water tutorial. It was entitled Basic Water Tutorial. It was just a very basic thing about how water moved and functioned, and you know, showed off a few things I had done with it. And I got a comment over the weekend from a guy on that video. And sounds like he was kind of frustrated, but he wasn't too thrilled with my tutorial. I went back and looked at it. I thought it did what it was supposed to do. But here's what this viewer said. This isn't a tutorial. I was looking for someone who knows what they're doing. I want to know the ratio of water sources to drains. I have experimented, and there doesn't seem to be any consistency to how it works. I had two large water sources and one large drain. It overflowed the pool. Then I changed the terrain a bit, and now there's two large sources and five small sources with one drain, but it won't even fill the pool. All right. So I can't really explain what's happening. Now, I did respond to this person, and I was very polite. And I told them I would be very happy if they wanted to upload their world to world share. I would be happy to take a look at it and see if I could find some way to help them correct their problem. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if this guy even saw my reply. Maybe this guy blocked my channel and is never going to watch it again. I don't know. But I'm going to try and help anyway because I don't want any animosity with people. And I do feel bad that my video was not able to help this guy. So, based on the parameters he's given, let's see what we can learn. All right. So, two large water sources and one large drain, and it overflowed his pool. Well, all right. We'll put two large water sources up here and see if it overflows the pool, shall we? Okay, two large water sources, one large drain, and we're just going to see if this fills up. Now, on the drains, it does say that the drain will remove any water above it and it can be placed on the floor. And the same with the wall drains. It will remove any water above it. So, if I didn't want to overflow my pool, I would probably place this higher up. But for now, we're just going to put it on the ground and we're going to see what happens. We'll start with one large water source. All right, so we got one large water source flowing. And what does that look like for a flow rate? Well, the one large water source doesn't seem to be getting above that with one drain. All right, so let's see if two large water sources indeed overpowers the drain. Because we brought another one. Well, they're definitely trying to overpower the drain. Yeah, and I'm using the water containment blocks. So this guy says, yeah, he had two large water sources and one large drain, and it overflowed the pool. Okay, and I don't know where his drain was or how big his pool is, mind you. But what I can tell you is that in this space, the two large water sources are not overpowering the single drain. And if they're going to, it's going to take a long, long time. So let's turn off the hood and just stand here for a little bit and see what happens. It looks like it's just up to my calves, not quite to my knees. But is it getting higher? I guess that's the thing we don't quite know yet, isn't it? Maybe I should have installed something to be a measuring device, but I'm going to have to do. Okay, it might be starting to get up past my knees. It could be slowly, you know what? We can put in a measuring device. That's no problem. We'll just go to our trusty hammer. And yeah, hey, we're even right on the right block. I don't know how that happened. I promise I did not set that up previously. All right, and we'll just stick this in here. Yeah, front and center. Yeah, four block column as a measuring device. All right. And I am pretty convinced that the water in there is not getting any higher than that. Yeah, it looks like we're maintaining at 1 block. We're going to leave that run for a while. We're going to move on to another section of the experiment. All right, so put in a large drain here. And I don't know where his water sources are placed or any of that. I really don't. I don't know if he deactivated his drains, got his drains buried too deep in his build. I don't know anything about the man's build. But what I can tell you is that's still only up to 1 block. So with 2 water sources and a large drain in this space, 2 of these water sources cannot overpower a large drain. Now we're going to leave that run just to make sure that's true. All right, so I don't know why he's got 2 large water sources overpowering a large, yeah, I don't know why he's got an overflowing pool. That is what he said, right? Let me double check this. He said he had 2 large water sources and 1 large drain and it overflowed his pool. All right. So 2 large water sources, 1 large drain. And this is a larger surface area. The water's got more space to spread out here. Maybe that's got something to do with it. You can definitely see the water all flowing towards the drain. And we'll put another measuring stick down. Yeah, we're doing this in a couple of different ways because I don't want to be accused of not being thorough on this experiment. All right. All right, now this is interesting. In the bigger area, in the larger area, yeah, the drain's having to work harder because it's getting more water out. That's fascinating. Okay. So can the 2 large water sources overfill this pool? I don't know. We're still getting higher here. but it doesn't look like it's getting up past the second level of black. So if you give the water more room to spread out, so depending on the size of his pool, what he's saying could be completely valid. That he wasn't able to fill it up with 2 large water sources. Or that it was overflowing to it. I think that could be possible. That he overflowed a pool with 2 large water sources and 1 drain. But I think that depends on the size of the pool too. Could also depend on the proximity of the water sources. Yeah, still not getting above 2 blocks. And up here. So yeah, up here the drain's just catching the water faster. I mean, it's still flowing at the same rate. But it's going directly into the drain here. So that could be hurting it. All right. So that's about how much drainage you'll get out of 1 drain. So if I added a second drain over here, what would we get? Getting a lot of drainage really fast. So the impression I'm getting is this cat wants his water sources to keep flowing, but he doesn't want his pool to drain, or he's not having it drain proper. All right. And then, yeah, with 2 of them in this surface area. So surface area matters. This is a much bigger surface area than it is up there. So the surface area does matter. So I think he must have had to have overflowed it with a single drain. I don't know what he had, but this seems to be what's happening here. Is that with the 2 large water sources and 1 drain, these are the results we're getting in this pool. I don't know the design of this pool. I don't know its depth. I don't know any of that. But in this size pool, 2 large water sources and 1 drain. 1 drain will keep a pool this size and 2 water sources at 2 blocks high. So now my solution to this, regardless of pool size, if I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to overflow, let's say I wanted it to be at this height. Remember, the drains work on all water above them. So if I wanted it to stay at that height, let's try a wall drain there. Would the water stay at that height? I'm curious. Is one of those drains enough? Well, it's enough on that end. But we're still getting rising water everywhere else, because that's definitely not enough. But what if I put 1? But still, it's pretty consistent. Now, what if you wanted to hide that? We'll just put some foliage, or there's several ways you can hide it. But that is keeping it kind of at a consistent height. I am getting more back here. But that actually also, could that overflow the pool? Well, no, it couldn't, because these will stop running water when they get to a point. So that's on me. That's bad for the experiment. So let's see if we can fix that, shall we? Let's rise these up. Pick that up. And we'll do these like they are up there. Yeah, let's make sure we've got all the correct parameters, man. All right. So, surface area matters. And, oh, don't want to be in there. Yeah, because this, with the two running on it, with the drain being right there, the water's got no place to spread out. It's completely contained. And it can't get above 1 block high. So that's remained consistent in that very controlled area in one uh, big 64 by 8 by 8 block. In one 8 by 8 space, a single large drain on the floor will not get higher than 1 block with 2 large water sources. Now I'm curious as to what it takes to overpower the drain. So let's get our water sources back out over here. Now, I'm not going to account for anything where like you took the drain and put it like glitched it into something or something. I won't speak to that. I just won't because I don't know. Because yeah, like if you put that further down, it may work better. It may work. You know what? We will try that. Let's see if we lower it deeper into the floor. And you know what? This was a foolish experiment. All right. Let's deactivate both of those. Swim down. And the drained everything pretty freaking quick and efficient. Now we're going to pick it up. Now we're going to put it deep in the floor. I still want to be able to see it so I can pick it up. But let's see if maybe that changes the game. All right. Okay, so when the drain's that deep in the floor, it's doing nothing. All right. So that's important. That's very important. Okay, that deep in the floor, it's fine, and that pulled it all the way back down. And I'm expecting this to fill up to around 1 brick again. And stay there. Yeah, that's pretty consistent. So you can only place them so deep in the floor. That is definitely one of the possible issues, is that you can only place that so deep in the floor. Okay. Now once again, back here on the 2 large water sources, 1 drain. And then we'll put it way up there. Now with the drain being closer, we may not even get up to 2 blocks here. Yeah, so not being able... So the overflowing pool, that could be a problem of how close your drain was to your 2 large water sources and the size of your pool. Because I imagine, we're going to run all kinds of experiments here, I reckon. But yeah, still at most, yeah. We're going to say at this size, it keeps it about 2 blocks high with a single drain, according to our measuring stick here, because it's 4 blocks. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be about the case with a single drain. So if your pool was overflowing with that, Maybe the drain's too far away and the pool's too big. That's hard to say. All right. So say I wanted to keep it at a specific height with wall drains, we would pick that up. We would come over here, we would slap another wall drain over here, trying to keep it basically at the same height. And with those wall drains there, yeah, nothing really gets above them. All right, and if I wanted to keep this consistent, I would probably put one, you know, over here. And over here, so that could, yeah, using wall drains in that manner, could keep your pool at a very specific height. All right. So now on to the other conundrum. Single drain. He did say single drain, right? Two large sources, 5 small sources with one drain, but it won't even fill the pool. And once again, I don't know if you've got a natural pool or maybe you've got a leak. Because, like, say you were using like dirt or something and you had something like this going on somewhere behind some of the dirt where you couldn't see in vegetation. If you've got a gap somewhere, and I'll put another one over here. But yeah, if you've got a gap in your wall somewhere, you may have real trouble filling your pool. Yeah, that'll screw your whole thing up good depending on how big the gap is. Back at my base, in fact, we'll go look at that now. I'll show you. I actually have a deliberate gap in my pool because I'm not using any drains on purpose. But it's doing the same job as the drains. The water can't overflow for 2 reasons. One, those are down in the water, so they stop moving once the water gets to them. Okay, so 4 wall drains, that works. All right. And you called out, how many sources did you call out? 5 small sources and 2 large. Okay. So we're going to put that in. So my theory right now, my man, that was unhappy with my video, is that your issue is you've either got a gap in your pool someplace because you say it won't fill, or maybe you've got your drain too low and hidden, or something's blocking the drain. I really don't know. Like I said, I have not seen your setup and your build. And sometimes making these things work is trial and error. So, like I said, I'm just trying to replicate this based on the description you gave. And like I said, I don't know what your pool looks like. Not a clue. But, yeah, this is just kind of exploring, you know, how much water drains from a thing. I mean, it's good information to have. You're saying with a single floor drain, you can't fill up your pool. All right, well, we'll put in a single floor drain. Pick up all these other drains. Don't pick it up. We don't want any appearance of impropriety here. All right, so saying you can't fill up the pool with the single floor drain with all of that. It may stop the pool from getting full. Yeah, that single floor drain is definitely okay. That I'm buying. The single floor drain is powerful enough to stop your pool from filling. And before your issue was it was overflowing. Well, I think this is keeping it from overflowing. So yeah, the single floor drain, it appears to be pretty powerful because that is stopping your, well, it's overflowing back here, but all right, let's put on our swim fins and our dive helmet. That's right, I'm wearing cosmetics. All right, so we're definitely overflowing back here. So let's centrally locate your drain. Yeah, that's a bit more central to everyone, I think. These are approximations. I'm not measuring the length of the pool. You know, we're not doing serious engineering here for that. Play Hydroneer or Trailmakers. And those aren't bad games. All right, so putting it in the middle, and I am assuming you put your single floor drain in the middle to keep things from overflowing. What's going on out there has to do with the previous overflow. It has nothing to do with in here. And possibly, if I still have a gap in the wall, that may also be causing that. It doesn't look like I do, so we can just get rid of this with this. And this. All right. So I am assuming that you want a situation where your pool doesn't overflow and fills to the top. And the single floor drain is powerful enough to stop all of these. All right. So how do we solve this man's problem, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I've got one example of how I've solved this problem. And, you know, if you've got some sort of waterfall or something you want to keep going here, I get it. But you want your pool full, and I get that. And you still want water flowing into it. I get that. These are difficult things to accomplish. But if I was trying to accomplish it the way you're talking about it, I would do it like this. I would put a drain over here. I would put a drain over here. This would be my first attempt, mind you. I would put a drain over here, and I'd try and get these equally distant. And that one's not, but and the other thing I would do is I would make sure I took this drain here out. All right, so that drains out. And then as this fills up, okay, so it turns out I need another drain on this side to stop overflow. And basically I would place them until my overflow stopped. Looks like I've also got some overflow over here. So yeah, I would run around the pool with drains like that till the overflow stopped. Another thing you might do is cut hidden channels under the floor and hide the drains behind those. So what you do is you knock something out in this wall and you know. Looks like I need another small drain over here and I don't have it. Alright, so you would need more wall drains to stop overflow completely all the way around. Because yeah, we're getting a lot of overflow and these single wall drains aren't enough to beat it. Can I turn this into a wall drain? I don't know. I've never tried. Maybe I can. And it does. Those do work as wall drains. So, yeah, you could put the larger drains around. Several things you can do. But yeah, the one drain in the middle of the floor with all these water sources will keep the pool from overflowing. I should have put some more light in here. That's okay. I brought my own light. Alright, so yeah, putting a wall drain there, stop that overflow. So drain location is going to be really important to how you go about doing things. Yeah, I only brought so many drains. You don't have to use wall drains, but you can. And just bringing it up like that will stop any water above it. So yeah, for the overflow effect, that's how you would have to do it. This is crude, I admit. This is not my best work. It's not supposed to be. This is just a science experiment. And that is all this is. And yeah, that stopped the overflow there. So, yeah, it's all about where you put the drains. So you definitely went wrong about one drain in the middle of the pool being able to stop this whole pool from filling up. So if you want to do it with just water sources and drains, that's how you would do it. Not the best solution. Like I said, it doesn't have to be like this. And no, I'm not going to go back and put the rectangular one on the bottom and see if that gives you the result you want with the drain. Because clearly the drains pull to a single place. So that's why you've got to use so many of them in so many sections. That's going to depend on the size, lots of variables and things. But yeah, within an 8x8 space still, and one drain, 2 water sources cannot overpower that. It's fascinating. How many water sources can overpower it? Or can it, is it just because of the space it's in? Maybe it just can't. I'm really curious. Let's try that before we call it a video. Like I said, this was not done out of malice or anything to the guy who disapproved of my video. I mean, I get it. Sometimes people get frustrated when they're building. And I really hope he watches this, and I hope it helps him. You know, if worst case, I think all of us may have gotten a little bit better understanding of drains and how they work. I know I've learned a couple of things here, but dun dun dun. I mean, And I've done water features with no drains and no placeable water sources. I've done it with natural water sources, and just channeled the water to where I wanted it to wind up. And let me tell you, that was a challenge, but the result was worth it. Um, no, I'm not going to go show it off. That's not what this video is about. I will go show off one other method of doing things. Um, but beyond that, what was I looking for? Oh yeah, I was looking for that water source. Bear with me, I'm old. Yeah, can 3 water sources overpower a single drain? They're certainly trying. They're getting it almost up to 2. All right, I am of the belief that with enough water sources, you could completely overpower a drain. But yeah, if it's a big drain in the middle, like I said, the big drain stopped all these water sources from filling up the pool. And just to reiterate that, we're going to pull this one. Come back down here in the middle. But that, yeah, creates this insane water vortex. So, yeah. Yeah, the single large drain will prevent all those water sources from filling up your pool if it's got significant surface area. It's kind of insane. That is kind of insane how powerful the single large drain is. So yeah, I would say use wall drains or sideways large drains at the height where you want your pool to wind up. Or there's another couple of tricks you can use. And I'll show you one of those now. If we come over here to Chasm City, I'm not using any drains here. I got a couple of water features, but really the only important one is at the fishing hut. At the fish pond. So if we come over here to the fish pond, smack them, get them. Yeah, over here at the fish pond, all right, I've got a single large water source, and it will turn off every time the water hits it, but it's always on this island. And yeah, there's no flow down or anything, so if I moved it higher, I might get different results. But the other thing that's happening here is I've got this cut out on purpose. The city is built on Braylon Bridge, so that is nothing but shroud below me. And the idea here was I wanted to flood the shroud on purpose. So yeah, I've got that there and that there. Just those 2 little gaps on this natural looking pool you don't even see, acting just like drains so I don't get any overflow. And like I said, this here is always running. So it's always draining, that's always running, and there's an infinite supply of water flowing into the shroud down here by design. And that's creating, and it kind of resets every time I log in and out, but over time it does create a bit of water down here, and there are a few other things down here. Yeah, there's a few other places I've got draining water into the shroud down here under Braylon Bridge, because that's where I built Chasm City, is right on top of Braylon Bridge. because I thought it was fun. But anyhow, I do hope that this helped your situation with your pool if you haven't figured it out already. And for those of you that had not complained about the previous video, I hope this taught you something about drains. So, like I said, I know I learned a little something about the drains. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Displeased angry viewer, I hope that wins you back. Because like I said, I'm not here to start wars with anybody. I'm not mad. None of that, man. But just trying to be helpful. Somebody was dissatisfied with the information I put out, so hopefully that helps them on their way. Um, so yeah, y'all be good to each other. I'll see you tomorrow for World Share Wednesday. And hey, if you want me to do World Share Wednesday for you, leave the name of the world in the comments, and I'll let you know once it's live, which should be 6 a.m. Wednesday. Until then, be good to each other, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.